Hey guys, Eric with Blue Line Fishing. Welcome back to the channel. Your time's important to me as always. And what we're going to do in today's time is we're going to do another review here. This time the KastKing Cirxus spinning combo. This is a 2000 series reel, ultralight rod, and we're going to check it out and see what you guys think. Stick with me. I think you'll enjoy it. Okay, so let's jump right into this. Let's take a closer look at this KastKing Cirxus spinning combo. This is an ultralight combo, and the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take the reel off the rod here, and we're going to get a closer look at it. Okay, so first thing first on the Cirxus reel here, this is a 2000 series reel. So this is a reel that I would consider an ultralight reel to use for either crappie, red ear, bluegill, things of that nature, your panfish, or you could use it to fish micro baits or ultra finesse fishing for bass as well. The gear ratio on this reel is 5.2 to 1, and what that means, if you're not familiar with gear ratios, is for every complete revolution of the handle, so one complete turn of the handle, this reel is taking, or this spool is spinning 5.2 times. So every complete revolution, 5.2 turns on this spool, and that's how much line you're taking in. 5.2 to 1 gear ratio on a spinning reel is, I would say something in the 5s. It's pretty commonplace. That's a lion's share of most spinning reels. Some will be lower in the 4s. Some, like for example, the pin reels, maybe a little higher in the 6s, but this one is 5.2 to 1. Okay, so if you've never taken the spool off a spinning reel, really easy. All you're going to do is the spool cap that's on the end here, you're going to turn it counterclockwise, just as if you were adjusting the drag. So counterclockwise or to the left is going to loosen the drag, and clockwise to the right is going to tighten the drag. But for what we want to do here, we want to take this spool cap off, and you can hear the audible clicks. We're going to keep turning it left till we feel like it's loose enough to be able to pop this whole spool assembly off, and I think we're there. So the whole thing pops off. And the first thing I want to do is I want to take a look at the spindle here is aluminum, and or it could be steel, I'm not sure, and I couldn't find on their website if it's a steel or aluminum spool. Somebody knows, you can put it down in the comments and let me know. But what I like to see here is this main gear that's right down here, is metal. I've seen them plastic or like a carbon fiber, and it just normally does not hold up like the metal ones do. It ends up breaking teeth off, and then basically the reel's screwed from there. So that is a metal gear that's on the KastKing here on the Cirxus. And then if we take the spool itself, it is an aluminum spool. And what I like about that, you've got this metal gear on a metal housing. So it's aluminum on this. So you've got basically metal on metal, instead of a lot of times you'll see metal on plastic or plastic on metal. And that, once again, doesn't tend to work out too well after a while. The plastic tends to fail. So this is metal on metal. I like to see that. A+ for that for sure. When we look a little closer at the spool, it doesn't have a braid band on it. A lot of the newer reels are putting a braid band on here. It's a silicone braid band. It doesn't have one, but you can buy one of those through like Tsunami and some other companies if you want to put one on your reel. But one thing it does have that I do like is, if you can see it here, the porting. In other words, these holes cut here, and they look like little X's through here, but what that's normally done for is to take weight off the reel. So it's got some porting here to take some weight off, plus it's aesthetically pleasing. It looks cool. And then as far as the spool cap goes, it is plastic. It's a plastic spool cap, but the majority of spool caps are some type of plastic carbon fiber design as well. Now the reassembly on this, super simple. You're just going to put the spool housing back down on the spindle sticking up there, and you can see when you've got it down far enough, it'll fit flush. The threaded post is sticking out, and we're going to do what we did the opposite this time, as far as we're just going to screw that on clockwise until it's tightened down. So the Cirxus is a 5 to 1 bearing system on this, so 6 bearings on here, 5 bearings, 1 roller bearing. One thing I like to check when I'm looking at any spinning reel is how much oscillation it has. In other words, if you take the reel and you just hold it in your hand like it's got the rod on it, and I'll put the rod back on it here in a little bit, and we'll check that out and check the oscillation with the rod on it as well. But if you hold it in your hand, you spin this really fast, and you can see that spool's going up and down, and the bail's going around it clockwise. How much wobble does it have? And you can see there's a little bit of wobble. There's going to be a little bit of wobble in any spinning reel, but what I don't like to see is where it almost feels like it's just shaking out of your hand. In this one here, pretty smooth. So there's not a whole lot of oscillation to it, and that's what I like to see in the operation of a spinning reel. If we look a little closer at the body here, metal, or it's aluminum reel foot coming down on the post here. As you come down into the body of the reel, you can see once again, try and get in a little closer, it's got this porting right here at the bottom of the post and in the back of the reel housing. Normally, once again, just like with the spool, the reason that's done is to take some weight off of the reel. You might be asking, hey, how much does this reel weigh? I weighed it here on my handy dandy scales like I always do in all my reviews. I weigh all the rods and weigh all the reels because I don't always trust what the manufacturers say. This reel, the 2000 series Cirxus, comes in at 8.5 ounces. So the handle on the Cirxus is, they call it shark skin on the website, but what it feels like and really what it kind of looks like is a wind grip. You guys are familiar with wind grips for your rods, and they're starting to put them on some reel handles. That's what this looks like right here, but it's a round style instead of a paddle, and I like that. It's different. I think it's just a little easier to get a grip on, and I do like that design on it per se. One of the other things too with the reel handle, you can just take this little post out that's right here, back it out, and you can put this handle on the opposite side. So it can be either left or right-handed, depending on your preference. So you might be asking, what's the drag on this reel? I don't know. I looked on KastKing's website. I looked on Amazon where you can find this reel on both, and I couldn't see a specific drag for this reel. If somebody knows, please put it down in the comments below because I would like to know. I'm going to guess that this reel is probably around, I don't know, 15 pounds of drag, somewhere in that ballpark, being a 2000 series, 15 to 17 pounds. But if anybody knows, let me know. So guys, one of the big things that I look at when I'm looking at any reel, whether it be a spinning reel, a bait casting reel, it doesn't matter, is the anti-reverse. How well does the anti-reverse work? What I mean by that is, when I stop this reel, I don't want any back play in the handle at all, not in the slightest. It can cost you hook sets for sure, and it can cost you to lose fish. So when I stop this reel, and you can kind of see, and my hands are shaking a little bit, I can't keep it perfectly still, but there is zero back play in this handle. Will some develop over time? I don't know, but as far as the anti-reverse on the reel right now, it's fantastic. There's also a small selector switch on the bottom. You can switch it over and you can reel it backwards, which is good if you're playing a bigger fish. Personally, I don't like to use a drag on a spinning outfit that much. I like to actually switch this over and use the back play in it, reel backwards, and kind of work the drag, if you will, me be the drag at my own pace. But that's just me. Okay, so let's jump into this rod. First things first on it, it is 5 foot 6 inches. They list this rod as a moderate fast action. I would consider it a fast light action because it's an ultralight rod, and really where it starts to bend here as far as down in the rod is about halfway down, about the 5th guide, in between the 4th and 5th guide. So that's kind of where the parable is on it. I would consider it actually an ultralight rod, which is the purpose, I think, of this outfit. Once again, we talked about it, pan fishing or micro fishing, bass baits, things like that. We'll start down here at the butt end, the butt cap on the rod right here. It is a split grip design, and it's got the EVA foam right here. And then it goes into what they call shark skin. Once again, to me, it looks and feels like wind grips, if you guys are familiar with that. So with the wind grips, it's got that tacky feel to it. I do like that. Down here on the split grip is the hook keeper. I don't like the hook keeper here. That is like Lew's does their rods. Like, I love the Lew's rods, but I do not care for the hook keeper here. I think it's just in the way. I like it to see it above the handle, right up here where basically the butt of the blank meets into the handle is where I like to see the hook keeper, but that's just a small thing. It's personal preference as well. So the hook keeper there, your reel seat right here, it's a plastic reel seat or some type of plastic material, and then it's not a blank through design on this. What I mean by that is the rod blank all the way exposed on the reel seat here, and then the tightening thread on it here, EVA foam at the top, and then it's plastic right here. As far as the overall, what the rod can handle, they listed, I believe it's 4 to 8 pound test and 1/16 ounce to 3/8 ounce lures. 3/8 would be getting a little bit heavy for this rod, in my opinion. But we'll try it out and see, because we're going to take us out to the lake. We're going to try it out. I don't know if I'll throw anything that heavy with it, but we're going to put some light and some little bit heavier lures on it as well. You may be wondering what this rod weighs. It is 3.2 ounces. Once again, use my scales, weighed it out, 3.2 ounces for the rod itself. The rod is a two-piece rod. I'll take it apart here. I'm not a big fan normally of two-piece rods because I think it kills sensitivity sometimes, but I do understand it for space and for transport. It's a lot easier to have these two pieces. And I'll let you see right there. It's not open. It's not a hollow blank on this. It is a solid blank right there on the rod itself. Okay guys, as far as the guide count goes, it has 6 guides on this rod right here. If you watched any of my other review videos, and I've got a lot, so if you want to check them out, I'll leave some down in the description. I've got rods, reels, boats, you name it, all kinds of stuff, reviews. But I'm a big proponent of a high guide count because I think the more guides you have on a rod, number one, the more sensitivity you're going to get because that line is in contact with the rod more via the guides. And I also think that the more guides you have, it helps tame that line, especially on a spinning rod. As this line comes off and it tends to coil as it goes out, it's kind of spirals as it goes out. The more guides you have, it kind of tames that line, and actually what you get is further casting distance, I believe, when you've got a few extra guides on the rod. This has 6. That's pretty good for an ultralight or a 5'6" rod. You can maybe fit one more in there if they were micro guides, but the guide count on this rod is not bad at all. So the guides on this are aluminum guides. They're a single foot right there. A single footed guide is how that goes in. They've got looks like some type of carbon fiber material as far as the insert goes, but they feel good and slick. No issues with those. It looks like some quality guides on the rod. So now that we've looked at this combo kind of in depth, what we're going to do is I'm going to put some line on this reel, and we're going to take this out to the lake and throw some lures with it. Some really, really light stuff that's a little bit heavier, and we're just going to see how it does and how it performs. If you're wondering too, if you just add both of those up as far as the weight on this combo goes, it's 12 ounces when I weighed out the rod and the reel. So that's good and light for an ultralight, which it should be, but good lightweight setup. But anyway, let's throw some line on this and get it out to the lake.
Okay guys, we've got the KastKing Cirxus out here at the lake. We're going to do a few casts with it and see what we think. Rigged it up with some 4-pound P-line on it. It's a fluorocarbon coated line. And on the end here, I have a 1/16 ounce jig head with a Crappie Thunder plastic body on it. So just a light lure, something you typically use for, crappie fishing, red ear, bluegill, things like that. Kind of casting into the wind a little bit. The wind, the way I'm facing right here, is coming out of the southwest, so I kind of wanted to see how it would do with a little bit of wind interference casting too. We'll see how it does. Little sidearm cast there, really good distance on it. I mean, I think that's what you want if you're crappie or you're even fishing some type of ultralight bass fishing. Okay, we'll give it another whirl here. This time, instead of a sidearm cast, going to use an overhead cast and just see how it does on that. Kind of an arch on that there. The wind kind of caught it, but still good distance on it. And we'll try one more here, just sidearm, two-handed. Real good distance on that. I mean, that's what you want. You wouldn't be disappointed in having that kind of casting distance, I don't think, on a regular basis. So guys, before I started filming here, I was playing with this rod for about 45 minutes or an hour out here at the lake. I'm happy with the way it casts, with the way the rod feels. Once again, it's an ultralight, so you can see it's got a lot of flex in it. About the 5th guide down here is where that bend starts, just above the connection to the 2-piece. So, that's what you're going to have though on an ultralight. It's going to be a light to a ultralight rod setup, so you can see kind of the parable on the rod right there. But the sensitivity seems to be pretty decent on the rod, especially for a 2-piece. But once again, I'm happy with the setup. So the next bait we'll try on this is a Ned rig with a 1/15 ounce head. So definitely heavier than the crappie panfish jig. And we'll see how this does. We'll start out with the sidearm cast. Little sidearm and underarm did really well. It's way out there. And next we'll try an overhand cast with it. Really good distance on that as well too. And as far as the retrieve goes, of course it's a new reel, but the reel is butter smooth. So if I didn't mention it before, the price point on this setup is about 60 bucks. I think with a coupon on Amazon, you can get it for around $56. That's pretty dang cheap. The reel, what I think my overall thoughts on it, the reel is smooth on the cast. It's smooth on the retrieve. It does cast really easy. There's no back play in the handle, which is a big deal. It's a 2-piece rod. Not the world's biggest fan a two-piece, but for what it is sensitive and it would break down nice and small for transport. I think it's more suited for panfish applications than I do bass fishing, but you could use it for whatever you want. There's no rule saying you have to use it for this or that. So with that being said, I do like this KastKing Cirxus setup. Don't have any affiliation with them, but I will leave a product link down below in the description. I'll also leave some discount code links for you guys as well. Thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate it. And remember, until that next video, get out there and fish.